before. I lost that love before. I lost that love before. I lost that love before.
Derek,
Steve,
how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm fantastic, and honestly, I don't. This is my 5th day in New York, and normally I don't stay in New York this long, and it's been fun every day. It's been a really, really awesome trip. So, and you've been a part of that with the Cube that you hosted yesterday. So
I have.
yes,
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. So,
Cool.
Yeah.
It's been good to have you up here, man.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I'm excited to talk to you about this, about Cube and your Magic journey. When I came back to Magic and made a new Twitter account and got back online, and I was looking for who is doing Cube stuff. You were one of the first people that popped up, and immediately I was like, oh, I feel like I can resonate with this dude. And we met in Philly. We chatted briefly. And yeah, I feel like it's just been awesome to hang out with you and Cube with you, and the New York scene. You've been introducing Zach, who's awesome. And Dan, who's awesome. So, first off, just to make you as uncomfortable as possible and shower you with compliments right off the bat.
Yeah,
there you go.
Thanks, man.
Of course, hey, no problem. So I just want to say thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So, how did you find, what point in your life did you find Magic, and what was the first Magic playing experience like?
Ooh.
And where were you in the city? Were you not here? What was that like?
Sure.
Yeah.
I love telling this story. So 1994 was when I started playing. I was 12 years old.
Yep.
Don't do the math, anybody. And I was playing, I was going to my younger brother's league basketball game.
Okay.
So he's 4 years younger than me.
Yeah.
And so they had this league in Connecticut where the kids would play in the various gymnasiums and a small circle of elementary schools.
Mm-hmm.
And so my dad was like, you have to come to the basketball game, and I was like, I don't want to go.
Yeah.
And so I ended up going, and then so I'm sitting in the outside the gymnasium, and my friend comes up to me and he's like, you're here. Yeah, you're here. And his younger brother was also playing in the other team in the basketball league, and he was like, I bought this game today, and while we're waiting for the game to end, let's just play it. And
so were those starter decks?
Yeah, they were revised starter decks.
Okay.
And he explained the rules to me.
Mm-hmm.
I have no memory of how well we played.
Oh yeah.
But there's one thing that sticks out to me. It's at some point in the game, I drew a card and I drew Sarah Angel.
Okay.
And I cast Sarah Angel.
A truck.
Yeah. And it was this religious experience where I cast Sarah Angel. He couldn't do anything about it, and I just wrote it all the way to the end of the game. And that was probably the only game we played, but between that moment and looking through the cards and already having an affinity for Dungeons and Dragons and Tolkien and all that, I got in the car with my dad that night and I said, we're going to Toys R Us tomorrow and we're going to pick up starter decks of this game called Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I ever played.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily enough, there was actually a really huge LGS really close to me in Milford, Connecticut, called Barron's Comics and Cards. Baron Vangertoth was a store owner and ended up becoming a game designer. He designed a WrestleMania game or a WWF game in the late 90s.
Yeah.
Also a comic collector. He's somebody that was very well known in the New York community. I found that out much later, obviously.
Yeah.
But it was my home, my first LGS.
Yeah.
My first time going in, I wanted to go in and buy a channel and a fireball because I wanted to have a way to wreck all my friends.
There you go.
And who was standing next to me at the store but Melissa Benson, illustrator of Shiv and Dragon, the original art. She lives in my hometown. She still does, I believe.
All right.
And so I got my channel, my Fireball. Met Melissa Benson.
Yeah.
And then started hanging out with all the 90s degenerate gamers, which back then was like people that listened to Guns N' Roses.
There you go. Risque stuff.
Yeah, played on the computer.
Well,
games on the computer.
Yeah.
They played Dungeons and Dragons, and they were,
it's basically just
nerdy metalheads.
Just a rebellious Satanists. That's what you're.
Yeah. So
every
was,
parent's nightmare.
Oh yeah, back then especially, man.
Oh yeah.
There was so much stuff coming out about Ouija boards and D&D. It was all part of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I played a lot at Barron's, mostly on Saturdays. I played mostly garbage, which was great.
Yeah.
Until
60 card casual was
60
a big
card
part
casual.
of everybody.
Yeah.
Well,
it was
depending on when you started, it was probably a big part of you playing Magic.
Yeah.
60 card casual.
Yeah.
Or just really bad Type 1 decks.
Yeah.
That's really
Type 1, also known as vintage.
Yeah, also vintage.
Yeah. Definitely went to pre-releases on weekends, which were like these giant events back then at the Knights of Columbus in Boston or New York. And, would go to tournaments and do poorly at them, but just wanted to go. Spent a lot of time convincing my parents to drive me to a giant building and then leave and then come back at the end of the night.
Yeah.
Somehow they managed to do that for me.
Yeah.
And I was really fortunate.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for all that.
Yeah. So then, when did you transition from the Connecticut LGS and that scene to then coming to the city and then finding
all of this?
Yeah, all of this.
Okay.
And specifically your time in the famous and/or infamous New York draft league.
Okay, so let me fast forward through this then. I played a lot then. I ended up qualifying for the JSS at Pro Tour New York in 1999.
Oh, all
that
right.
was the height of my.
What were you on? What was
so I
deck?
qualified with Dream Hall's Time Spiral Stroke of Genius combo.
Okay.
And the finals was against Memory Jar Megrim combo. So that was a really fun time in Magic.
Interactive, great Magic.
Interactive Magic, yeah.
For sure.
And then I played Shadowclism, which is White Weenie with Imperial Armor and Cataclysm, in a field that was dominated by Necropotence and Recurring Nightmare.
Yeah.
I got absolutely stomped.
Just not playing on the same.
No.
Not playing the same game of Magic.
But I think I've talked about this before. I watched the Road to Nationals, where Matt Lindy won Nationals. Or won some tournament qualifying for Nationals or something by playing White Weenie.
Yeah.
With Abeyance and Imperial Armor and all that. And I was like, I'm going to get him. I'm going to get him with White Weenie. It didn't. It didn't.
No.
It didn't work out.
Fair enough.
So I go to college in Boston. I play a little bit, and then I decide to sell all my cards. Power 9, 40 duels, beta, restricted cards. No big deal. Just get rid of them.
Yeah,
just get rid of them. Well, I'm an artist now.
Yeah.
I'm an actor.
Yeah.
I don't need to play Magic.
It's dumb. Dumb children's game. Yeah.
So didn't play.
This is the best investment in my future right now.
I mean, I just sold all the cards, and I think I just put it towards my student loan.
Yeah.
So then didn't play for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Came back while I was unemployed, living in Brooklyn. Just remembered Magic and found an LGS in Williamsburg and ended up playing there. Started drafting.
Yeah.
And I was a terrible limited player. So I spent a summer doing nothing except going to this LGS and drafting a bunch. And that's where I met a lot of people that ended up forming Team Draft League in New York.
So when you did drafts at your LGS there in New York, were they store-run drafts, or would somebody locally buy a box and you would basically pay for the packs and draft, or was it a mix of both?
So a couple people were like, "Hey, you seem like you're interested in getting better. do you want to join this league that we're doing? Just like good camaraderie. We all want to just get better at playing Magic together.
Yeah.
And we'll do it by way of doing money drafts, which is 3 versus 3 team drafting.
Yep.
And so we, did like back then there was no Discord, so it was like setting it up via like Google mass emailing, and so we started getting together and drafting, and then formed the league somewhere close after that. It was like Theros is when we started. Started the league.
Yeah.
But it was never in the LGS. It was always outside of somebody's house. And so it was like a lot of it was just like forming teams, bouncing around to different apartments in Brooklyn and Manhattan, and weekly, team drafts.
Super casual, friendly.
It started that way, and then it started out as
plans.
We're all supporting each other, and then as we all got better, we were like, wait, we can just like put money on this, and had a Swiss rounds in the postseason and payouts, and I mean, I don't know about you, but whenever we team draft, the winning team gets all the cards.
Yes.
And that's like standard in our groups. I learned to forfeit a lot of good cards over the years.
It's a way to learn.
Yeah.
It's a way to learn. It gives you an incentive.
It ground me into dust and made me buckle down and learn just a lot more about the fundamentals of Magic.
Yeah.
And I now like consider Limited to be my favorite format. So I guess it's natural that Cube would be like on that map when in my Magic journey, my Magic experience. Yeah.
I think Limited does I think there's a lot of players now, especially in the wave of Commander's popularity, like that. A lot of players that play Magic that have never played Limited or never even sat at a draft, and I think learning to draft and learning to play Limited and learning to evaluate cards along the angles that you have to build competent draft decks, which I'm still trying to figure out to this day. I think it's important. I would encourage people that if you haven't drafted, to try it, because it like you're saying, it helps you build a way to evaluate cards and understand Magic on a more if you wipe all the text and flavor off the card and just evaluate the raw stat lines and how to rank that up against things. I think Limited helps me have the ability to evaluate new cards faster, I think.
Sure.
Because of being able to just having the ability to, or practicing the ability to evaluate cards in the draft.
Sure. Well, to give a very a kind of simple real world example, we often speak of interaction in Magic as doomblading your creature or whatever, or countering your spell and stack interaction. But Limited teaches you you play a 2/2, I play a 2/3, and I'm therefore interacting with your 2/2.
Yes.
So that's a whole other level of it.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go ahead and pitch this right now. I love winning with bad cards more than losing with good cards.
Yeah.
Just want to put that out there.
Yeah, my favorite combo of Magic is Final Fortune, Sundial, the Infinite, and Ice-Crown Scepter.
Those are all good cards.
Those are not good cards. Okay, Final Fortune.
Final Fortune's a good card.
Sundial, the Infinite is arguably a very bad card, but narrow, extremely powerful.
Sure.
And Ice-Crown Scepter is broken. That's fun.
Yeah. The stick is broken. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's a fun card.
Yeah. First time I got somebody put fog under an Ice-Crown Scepter, I was like, I don't ever want to play against this card ever again.
Yeah. It was counterspell for me.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah. Pick your spell that sucks and put another Ice-Crown Scepter. Yeah. And the game just becomes how much can I tolerate a repetitive gameplay experience?
Yeah. I feel it's Ice-Crown Scepter is so oppressive in 2-player Magic, but in 4-player Magic it's not as broken because you're not you can't hold somebody down as reliably.
Yeah.
But it's fun stuff.
So we're playing. Let me just maybe link this to Cube.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So at some point early on in Team Draft League, one of the guys that I knew at the LGS would bring his cube to the LGS during like days where they were just firing drafts all day, like just booster drafts. And what is this? And it's a very similar experience that a lot of people have when they cube for the first time, where you open up your first pack and it's 15 crazy cards, and you're like, wait, this is sick. I want to do this. And I ended up begging him to bring it almost every time that I saw him, and trying to draft it instead of doing retail limited drafts. And that was his cube. This guy Justin was the first time I ever played a cube before Magic Online. It's kind of set the stage for me. It was a horribly unbalanced cube, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter. It was just getting to play with cards I had remembered and never got to play with for the 10 years I didn't get to play. It was almost like catching me up a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
There was really no other avenue to play with like Umas Java's GT other than like Constructed Legacy, right? So I get to like experience those things.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think he's important for that.
Yeah.
So do you remember around what year that was? Like around like what time you first discovered the cube?
2013.
That's like right around when my buddy Mark had the first cube that I saw in Philly, and I had the same. What is this?
Yeah. It was just clicked.
Yeah.
I don't have to use too many prosaic words.
Yeah.
Just clicked for me.
Yeah.
And I had to wait a little while before I built one, but I just basically built, like many people do, just built a version of the Magic Online Vintage Cube.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of it. I
Controversial take.
Controversial.
Kind of enjoy it.
Okay.
Kind of
Good. Good.
Yeah.
A lot of people do.
I think my enjoyment of it is like 75 to 85%, and I think that's pretty fucking high.
That's really high.
So but I also like glass cannons. Very highlighted.
I don't know if I understand your use of that phrase after our.
Oh, I didn't know.
yesterday.
Okay, so when I say that, I mean like the only deck I have on Arena is Charbelcher. I know I got to use.
Oh, that's glass cannon.
Yes.
Yeah.
My ramp deck yesterday ended up being a lot more consistent than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But I was my first time doing the Devoid Cube, and I did not know that it was like a viable.
Yeah, it's a good deck.
Yeah.
Ramp into big creature. Yeah.
A lot of times you just don't get to the big creature though. So
That's true. Yeah, you just draw a bunch of mana dorks.
Yeah. So when it came to like building your first cube and then going and iterating on that, and then like finding a play group to test, like how did that go? So did you basically, like when you did your cube, would you test with the friends that you had in the team draft league?
Okay, so this is a good topic because to me it's about like one of the most important aspects of cube of like owning a cube is being a host and like building a community around it. So like at the same time I was building this, starting to play with the cube, I was also playing Constructed Magic.
Yeah.
I was going to Grand Prix, I was playing Standard, Modern, and Legacy, and I was drafting, and I was in Team Draft League. So I was like doing a lot of things at the same time.
Yeah.
And so I, had like two people that always was trying to get cubes together. And so I was like, oh, they would always fire. So like, I have a cube, I can get 7 other people together, no problem.
Yeah.
Just hit them up. Hey, let's all cube draft. Cube is the best format ever. Let's all do it. And I had a really difficult time for many years trying to get 8 people in the same room together. I found out that all my constructed players. What's going on? What's going on? So I found out that constructed players love playing constructed, and I found out that limited junkies loved playing Booster Draft.
Yeah.
Neither one of those people liked Cubic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anywhere near as much.
Yeah.
You know, like going to weeklies for Constructed, doing team drafts for limited players. You know, limited players needed something on the line. They wanted to win the cards. They wanted to win store credit. They wanted to win something.
Yep.
And Constructed players, well, they just want to play 4 copies of Brainstorm. Or they want to play 4 copies of Lightning Bolt. They couldn't do that.
Yep.
So I then, you know, learned a lot about building relationships with people and sort of establishing the Cube in the New York scene.
Yeah.
I was not good at that.
Yeah. Trial by fire?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trial by fire. It was hard for me. I had to kind of like rearrange things in my head about like what it meant to like incentivize people to come hang out and play.
Yeah.
Obviously there's like, yeah, you can just build friendships with people, but I had friendships with these people already.
Yeah.
It was like, how do I like get people together?
Yeah.
You know, secret. The answer is food.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or hosted at a bar, which works for me in Philly.
Yeah.
Or the food works great in Baltimore. Those
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah. No, Anthony totally cracked it. Just like just cook and get people to come over.
Yep.
But yeah, that was something I had to like. Took me a while to figure out. Getting a regular group together wasn't easy until towards the pandemic, I'd say, probably. Yeah. Which is a long time.
Yeah.
Right? We're talking like 2013 to like 2018, 2019.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, talk to me then about like, when did you first hear about the first CubeCon, and then what was that experience like for you?
I heard about CubeCon in 2019, I guess, which is when they first announced the 2021.
Yep.
And I mean, I played a lot of Grand Prix. I played a lot of competitive Magic. I loved going to Magic Fests, as they were called at some point. I loved going to conventions, and so it's obviously like the perfect meshing of my world, Magic.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure I had a cube that would be in it, and I wanted to make sure that I could go, and I wanted to like meet all these people that I started to like meet online because I joined Discord around that time. Okay. And was writing for Hipsters of the Coast articles about the cube, or just like with card analysis and stuff like that for just generating content. Yep. And so I wanted to like finally meet everybody. Yeah. And I was really excited about it, and we all know how that turned out in 2020. So that was like a really good opportunity for me and probably many other people to hunker down and sort of build bridges and relationships with people digitally, as I mean everybody kind of was forced to, but really like put myself out there and try to engage and interact with people and like learn from people. So the cube I would have brought in 2020 would have been much worse than the cube I ended up bringing in 2022. So I was very thankful for that. I'm really thankful just in general for finding Discord's existence, me finding it, and then it kind of like carrying me through the pandemic also. Like socially, and also just getting to meet so many people in the community. Discord's
good for that.
I'm really bad with technology, so I can be like a slow starter.
That must be why you're so empathetic to JR never RSVPing to an event.
It's just like I don't know. And it's like sure, I totally get it. So you know, getting used to living online more, getting used to putting my voice out there and being wrong about stuff, and defending my my thoughts and my experiences
Yeah.
was really healthy for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to briefly talk about the cube you brought to CubeCon and where it was then, and then that is an early iteration of this cube. I think it remained cube. The cube you brought.
The cube I brought last year.
Yeah.
Cube I brought last year is my primary design project, which is the same one I'm bringing this year.
Yep.
But it's been, I mean, it gets
wildly
iterated on,
different.
dramatically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, a brief overview of Derek's cube.
Sure.
Yeah.
Love the name, right?
Yeah.
I'm so bad at naming things that are personal to me. I'm really bad at it.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's like this mental barrier that I have.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned before, I've played a lot of constructed Magic in my life, and I really enjoy the play patterns that exist in like Modern and Legacy, from both how it was and certain elements of how it is now. I kind of lost touch with it these days, but how I remember it.
Yeah.
And to get philosophical for just a second, we all have kind of a golden age of Magic inside of us, and a lot of our self-expressions, our output that we put out into Magic can be a reflection of that.
Yeah.
And I guess a lot of where my design project came from was my love of like early Modern and older Legacy constructed formats.
Okay.
So I wanted to kind of replicate those gameplay experiences.
Yeah.
And I had a couple people that I was collaborating on with it. The whole cube is designed around its mana base. So there's a ton of mana fixing in the cube, and it's all extremely powerful mana fixing. And the cube's gameplay kind of like, comes out of what's possible from the mana. Interestingly, I guess, cubes always have like goals in mind. I like to call it intended gameplay, but just what your priorities are when you're building something.
Yeah.
And originally it was constructed Magic. It was like kind of almost like a Delver Jund dynamic.
Yeah.
And now and then below that was like this mana base mechanical design that influenced the whole thing. Those things have like flip-flopped. So now the mana is like the primary design choice.
Yeah.
And so the importance of it being like constructed Magic is less and less important as I iterate on it. But then it was still very much like that. Anyway, my God, it was 4 packs of 16 cards to make sure you had a big enough card pool to draft lands. And that was a lot of packs.
Yeah.
That was a lot of packs and a lot of picks and a lot of decisions.
Yeah.
And a lot of like deck building complexity and
Sideboard cards.
And it was pretty overwhelming when I got to a lot of people as I was getting feedback from CubeCon. And so I made a lot of adjustments to it, thanks to people like David McDarty, who is a professional and so can offer professional level advice.
There you go.
To make the game better.
Yeah.
And help me realize my goals a little bit better. I think like it's important when you're designing a game out of Magic cards to like keep those things, to be like very sensitive to it being drafted by not only like your play group, but by like a wider like pool of players.
Yeah.
Because play groups can become insular. Wider play groups can offer wildly different feedback. And I don't know. I think like
Yes, if you've played and tuned your cube with the same 7 other people for 3 years and you bring it to a new event, don't expect the same feedback. That's all.
yeah, and not that that's like better or worse
Yeah.
in any way. It's just like you can design a cube that's drafted by the same 8 people every day. I mean, look at Andre Mengucci.
Yeah.
That's basically what he's done.
Yeah.
And his cube is like highly tuned for his exact eight players, and I think that that's wonderful.
It's perfectly fine to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess my larger point is CubeCon offered everybody the chance to put their cubes through an intense
A real
vetting
rigor.
process.
Yeah.
From just like different experience levels, different expectations, different approaches, and I think that was like a very important moment in like, if you can consider the cube community like calling it a single format or a single intention of like this, you know, making this whole group of people better at doing this thing. It was a pretty significant moment for a lot of people, including myself.
Yeah. So, if somebody drafted your cube at the last CubeCon and was going to walk up to your cube at this CubeCon, what would you tell them if I asked you what's the biggest changes other than new cards?
There's less packs. It's now 3 packs of 20 cards, and I'd like to use a Mark Rosewater lesson that I applied to my cube. Mark Rosewater is if you don't listen to Drive to Work, it is one
Very
of the most formative lessons I've ever had, like as a very amateur designer. Just listening to him explain himself. And he had this, the GDC talk, which I've watched probably like 100 times, I think.
Which is essential, by the way.
Essential viewing
It's
experience.
essential viewing. It really is.
He had a lesson that resonated to me this year. And don't worry, I'm getting to a good point about the cube, which is change your game to meet your players, not change your players to meet your game. And so what happened? I had this thing where I was like, okay, everybody gets 2 first picks out of every pack. So it's going to be like double masters drafting. Everyone's done double master drafting, right? Even if people did, this was like Sam Black drafting my cube that Sunday of CubeCon for fun, all the way up to when I made this change. One person at the table would always just start picking 2 cards from every pack. It just naturally. And we'd have to restart the draft, or something would happen, and I ended up, or someone at the table ended up having to call the draft. Okay, take 2 cards. Okay, now you're going to take 1 card. All right, next pack, take 2 cards. People forget or whatever, and it was just like, it was a logistical nightmare. And it never felt right. And so I changed my game to meet my players. I made it, let's just all draft 2 cards out of every pack. And I've done some testing on it, and it has its pluses and its minuses, but it's leaning into the way people were trying to engage with it based on my previous draft structure. So I'm a big believer in, being very adaptable to make sure that like I'm being pro fun and onboarding people more comfortably and to an experience. And
Well, it depends on what your goal is, right? If the experience is your goal, if your goal is to make a cube that you want to be able to be drafted by many people and enjoyed by many people.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, it's a goal with the intention of like making the CubeCon experience easy for the players and easy on the judges.
I mean, I think there's a lot of cube concepts, especially now, that are like, push those boundaries of like, how much are you asking your players to carry weight, and some I think are fun, and some I think are just like, what are we trying to do here? I've spent a lot of time this year kind of like ruminating on this and having conversations about this with other people in the community, and I'm a big believer in, like, as my friend put it, market controls. Like,
knowing that there are boundaries in place and, working within an existing tool set.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Like, understanding what your intended gameplay experience is, is really important.
Yeah.
And that designing environments, designing games with Magic cards is hard.
Yeah.
And like, that's okay.
Yeah.
And like onboarding people and easily through like to like a place where complexity starts to happen, and making sure that the onboarding is enjoyable and the complexity that results from that onboarding is also fun.
Yeah.
So being pro fun is really important to me right now.
Yeah.
And like, that's not an easy thing to do.
No.
And I spend a lot of time trying to make sure that like my cubes are like in favor of fun experiences. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm getting there, and I'm hoping by CubeCon it works.
Yeah.
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 I mean, what did you think about it yesterday?
We did not draft it the intended way yesterday.
I don't care, but like,
it was a blast.
So we drafted with 10 people. First time I ever did that, which is sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did not do double picks.
Nope.
So it was single picks, 10 people. I had a really good time. I find it interesting through the draft that I realized how much. I think I've only done your cube. Maybe this is the second or third time. Yeah, second time.
Yeah.
And I think I'm realizing now how important the mana is, because I realize like the archetype that I wanted to be in to be the best version of it, I needed to be in 4 colors. To really like rinse the rag, like it was like a 4-color wild mid-range like cat oven sack deck.
It was.
It
was like a black-white deck that splashed a couple colors.
My deck was black-white. My deck was black-white with a red splash for Marchesa and Goblin Bombardier.
Sick.
But there were cards like Samwise Gamgee, and there's some cards that were in green that I also like. I realized after playing my matches and kind of like looking at where everything shook out, that I was like, oh, like I really kind of wanted to prioritize some lands higher and then hit my spots with like. When I'm new at cubes, I understand the importance of taking lands, but when I'm newer at cubes, I often try to like do what I can to like narrow the focus, because I don't know what the payout cards are going to be, so I try to get those as quickly as possible.
For sure. Which is a really good reason in cubes to have outliers.
Yeah.
Solitude and Swords to Plowshares are like very familiar power level cards that like you can just take them and know that they're going to do their thing, and that they're strong, and they're like generally very strong cards in most cubes. And so like having people have access to like just
I Fiend Artisan for Solitude multiple times.
Hell yeah!
Like I busted it like 3 times yesterday. So yes, it was fantastic.
Yeah, and so like that's a good way to like manage expectations of people.
That would have been the coolest thing I did all day until I Spine of Ishsod you 4 times in the Devoid Cube. So
You did.
Sorry, I had to throw that in there.
You have to throw it in there.
But it was a
good day.
It was a really good day, and I think the cube's awesome, man. I am now curious to try it with the intended double picks.
Yeah.
Because I think the first time I did it was still 2 picks first one and then singles after. And then this time was just a wild, fun 10-person draft with a bunch of really cool people. Yeah. So
I've lightened up on how I draft my cube. It used to be had to be 8 people, had to be this, had to draft the whole thing. I'm lightening up about that stuff.
So yesterday was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
And I think that it's I think that to your point earlier, and like trying to focus on the fun, I think that's something that I can't stress enough. And I think I've touched on in almost all the videos I've done so far, is that like Cube starts with finding a group of people that are in the Cube and trying to like get those people together and building that community, because in my opinion, it is the most accessible way to play Magic if one person has a cube, and if nobody has a cube, figure it out with a printer.
Sure, yeah.
But I I think that it's so important to try to build a community, and I think it is just like, it's always refreshing when I've traveled so much the first half of this year to different places and see the communities. And then like even yesterday at Hex & Co, like there were other Magic players there. There was a packed game store of people, and I think that's like, I don't know, coming out of the pandemic and being able to play Magic again in person, I think it's an opportunity to go out and build communities around Cube.
Yes.
And like in your LGSs, and I know it's something that I've been meaning to do, and I have a regular setup in Philly, but like I want to do one in Delaware as well, and that's just like, I know a ton of people in Philly, so I don't have to go through the scary part of sitting in an LGS and saying like, hey, here's Cube, and maybe having 1 or 2 or 3 people coming and figuring out like how to do heads up drafts and shit. But that's like, I know that's how you get a Cube scene started, right?
Yeah.
And like, so I think it's important. I think it's important to find the fun and to build the community, because putting in the work and then having the payoff be like days like yesterday, where like you just have like a bunch of people coming from all over and showing up and doing 2 drafts, like that's awesome. That's like really cool.
I'll say this and then I'll zoom out a little bit. Yeah. Hex & Co opening up in Union Square is the geographically ideal location in New York to be able to do something like this. I've tried doing it in my house, it doesn't work. I've tried doing it uptown or in Brooklyn, doesn't work. Having it there, centrally located by all those trains, was huge. And it being big, accommodating, like
AC was on full blast.
I was frozen yesterday.
It was like oppressively
I had a t-shirt, a long sleeve, and a hoodie on at one point. I was shivering.
I was in it is so humid. I mean, it's sleeveless. It's hot in New York right now.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I took a hoodie out of my bag before I went to the LGS, and when I got there, I was like, I'm so mad that I don't have my hoodie. But everything else is excellent. Everything else is excellent.
Yeah.
So,
so it has been the best attempt that I've made to build a like regular get together.
Yeah.
And I'm really juiced up on doing that.
Yeah.
Right now. I take a lot of inspiration from the Lucky Paper crew in Baltimore.
Yeah.
I think they've done a tremendous job establishing themselves as like community leaders who care about building communities.
Yeah.
Like they care about like drawing in people.
Yeah.
And like that's something I aspire to.
Yeah.
But I will never be as good as they are at it, and I think that that's totally great.
Yeah.
Like,
well, for me, I'm just starting from behind. They're way more experts in it, right? Like I always prioritize like the spikier side of my Magic, and always prioritize like money drafts. And
sure.
Me
too.
Because so I never really, and I had a community of those kind of players.
Yeah, but here you are.
Yeah.
Making content, you're contributing something, and like that's I think where we're starting to find a rhythm with this is like people that are like passionate about the space are contributing something meaningful to it.
Yeah.
And in favor of, support, awareness, to community. Yeah. Like those things are like essential to the growth of the format. Mm-hmm. And so anybody that's in favor of that, you're doing this. Yeah. I'm trying something in New York. Yeah. Guys in Baltimore are killing it right now. Yeah. Like those are just the things I'm aware of. We have Thomas Krohn in Amsterdam, who has literally been running an invitational for 10 years or something. Yeah, and then the Cali Cube crew. The Cali Cube crew. That was a successful event. These things are happening. CubeCon is kind of our way to celebrate all that. Yeah, right? For sure. So I'm
going to figure something out on the East Coast.
Good.
I'm going to figure something. Good. I don't know what it is. Yeah. Something's going to happen.
And I think to go back to the comment about the pointing to the pandemic as kind of a spark for this. Yeah. I think that's a really good thing to point to. And I think that I give so much credit to people like Ryan Overturf, who conceptualized the 180 cube, the Tubert, for, hey, this is like the pandemic era of trying to get people together to play Magic.
Yeah.
Let's build 4-player sets that can be drafted with 2 to 4 people, because it's really hard to get 8 people together in the current climate.
Yeah.
And like that was like, from a like technological standpoint, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
And he should feel really proud about that and about marketing that, because it inspired a lot of people to find groups based on that, based on that restraint of 180 cards.
Yeah.
And that was also one of the main reasons I built BarCube.
Yeah.
And like BarCube becoming like a conceptual thing for people to like get together and drink together and play.
Yeah. Which, by the way, we're in a beautiful park right now, somewhere in Brooklyn.
Somewhere in Brooklyn. Yeah.
But we were going to do this in a bar with the BarCube out. However, it is early in the day and the bar was not open.
Bars are not open yet.
We're doing audibles here.
Yeah. Yeah. You know the whole thing about New York City never sleeps. It's sleeping till 3 o'clock, I guess.
Yeah. It's a holiday weekend.
It's a holiday weekend, yeah.
But yeah, the BarCube.
But yeah, like community focused, ended up becoming a community oriented project.
Yeah.
Inspired both by 180 card pandemic, and also like this sort of, you know, nostalgic playing with unsleeved cards and playing, trying to like have a vision about like what if I designed a cube that I could put inside my pocket and bring it to a bar with me, and then reverse engineering that. Yeah. And all of the complications that come with that was where this came from.
Yeah.
And I guess it hit a little bit of a nerve with people.
Yeah.
And that's something that has kind of built community around itself.
Yeah.
But with all these different touch points of people building their own or cloning it and then sending me screenshots and DMs about it. Yeah. People going out and hanging out together.
Yeah.
To play BarCubes.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So that was like
way healthier
an unintentional community project.
Way healthier than booze cubes, which are
what's a booze cube?
That's a longer conversation for another day.
It's for another day.
But the booze cube was an old cube that was 100% custom cube.
Okay.
And it was all custom cards that involved drinking.
Oh, okay.
Or exchanging.
So it's like a dexterity cube, but everything's about like a drinking game.
Yeah, the biggest fallacy is that the best strategy is always to do whatever the deck was that avoided drinking, and then it was like not fun. Once like that was like you realize like.
Which is also the issue with a lot of the dexterity designs.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't talk.
Yeah.
Don't laugh.
Yep.
Don't move your head. Yep. Don't touch your cards, and then you'll win the game.
Yes.
It's like, so don't do anything.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't drink in the drinking game.
Yeah. That was the big but it was very fun. Anyway, so that was not as much of a community project as much of a masochistic kind of enjoyment thing, but it was fun.
That sounds really fun.
Yeah, that was a blast.
Yeah, and to be clear, like my BarCube was not meant to be a community project.
Yeah.
But it ended up being that way.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was like one of the. I mean, it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
And like to carry it around in a plastic bag, I mean, it's like all.
Yeah.
It's like so perfect. Like it's like it's got a lot working for it. So,
yeah.
It's an awesome concept. Both your cubes are like the right amount of, in my opinion, like the right amount of uniqueness while like having a goal that is an easily traceable thread to like a core value of Magic, I think.
Yeah.
And like that's important to me because I think some people lose me, which I'm not saying it's bad, but they lose me when they're like try to turn Magic into their own game of Magic. And I think your cubes walk really nicely, I think for me at least, like within like this, like, oh, this is unique and cool, but it's also definitely Magic. Like, and even the BarCube that has like learn and lesson written all over shit, it's still Magic.
Yeah.
Know? So I think that's cool.
I haven't played too many like cubes that are like they alter the rules so much that they have like custom cards that also play within altered rules.
Yeah. So I've done like the Robo Rosewater Cube, right? So like that AI Twitter account that like generates random Magic cards.
Yeah.
Like people fixed like a mod, like the Robo Rosewater Masters, like the modern version of it.
Okay.
They fixed the cards and built a cube of them.
Okay.
That's a wild drafting experience. That's fun, and only with enfranchised Magic players.
Yeah. Because every card is like a joke.
It's like yes, and it's hilarious, you know. And then there's other cubes that are just like cubes that aren't balanced at all. They're still Magic, but they're just like the PT cube. Every card's ever been in the PT finals.
Oh, you mean Eric Klug's cube?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a museum.
So the first time I did, but that's definitely feels like Magic. That's like, the ones that the Robo Rosewater cube does not feel. That's like way out.
Yeah, I mean, Steve, game design. I'm not like a competent game designer. I'm an amateur one.
Yeah.
But like, it's hard
Yeah.
to make a game out of Magic that works.
Yeah.
And like, I'm learning more and more as I iterate and as I talk to people and like help other people realize ideas.
Yeah.
That you know, it takes a not only like it takes a lot of work, but it can take a lot of people. I mean, Wizards of the Coast, it takes them whole teams of people just to make like, you know, limited formats.
Yeah.
And like that's no small thing in my estimation.
Yeah.
And I'm just happy that like I'm able to like communicate something somewhat clearly to people, but also constantly obsess and try to make it, you know, more of what it wants to be.
Yeah.
And that journey has been really fun to me. Now compounding that with also building community. I mean, I don't have any free time anymore.
I hear you. I hear that loud and clear.
I have a lot of unfinished video games in my Steam account now because I started playing them at the end of last year. And
once I get home from this vacation, this will be the fourth video I have to edit when we get back. So we'll be. I'm just gonna go to work and then come home and then go to work. It's gonna be the next 2 or 3 weeks for me. So it'll be good. But thank you for your time. Thank you for being awesome. Is there anything else you want to plug, shout out before we wrap up?
Sure. Yeah. Aside from CubeCon, I guess.
Yeah.
Like tickets go on sale soon.
Yes. Tickets will be on sale when this comes out.
Okay.
For sure.
Great.
Yes.
Tickets are on sale.
Yes, they're on sale.
Come to Madison, Wisconsin. There's going to be 40-something cubes. Yeah. There's going to be special guests, which are already being announced or have been rolling out. Yeah. I'm going to partake in an event, like a game show. An event? No, a game show. Like I'm doing a game show that I think is like a trivia thing.
Sweet Twitter avatar out of.
And by John Terrell of Cultic Cube. Yeah. And it's going to be me, Anthony Maddox, and Faye, May. Yeah. Magic, the Faye.
Faye Cube. Yep.
It's going to be the three of us, and I think John is, you know, the person.
MC.
The MC.
Yeah.
I have no idea what this is going to be like, but that's what I'm doing, and I think that's going to be really fun. Yeah. I also have a redacted thing that's also in the works too.
Nice.
And my cube will be there.
Hopefully both cubes will be there.
Both cubes will
One will be in the event.
One will be in the event. Our cube will be on me.
Yeah.
At all times in some capacity.
That's good.
So I'd like to plug that because I'm very passionate about CubeCon and I want to make sure it's like gonna be the cube event of the year.
Yeah.
And I want to do as much for it as possible. So, okay, also one more thing is I stream. I used to have a weekly stream. I put that on pause because I was working on a huge promotion at work. Work stuff will be settled soon. So I will be looking to stream on Twitch, and I'm going to be interviewing people that'll be going to CubeCon, either with featured cubes or special guests. sort of to drum up some hype and maybe get to know some of the people a little bit better. So
Yeah. What's the Twitch handle?
it's Twitch TV / Derek
It'll be
Gallen.
right somewhere in this space over here. Somewhere over there.
Right here. So look out for that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's it. I think that's everything I want to plug. Thank you so much.
This won't be the last time we talk. So.
Good. It
It's all
better
good.
not be.
It certainly won't be. It certainly
Okay.
won't be. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
All right.
Thank you.
Cool.
Love before. I lost that love before.